My son's girlfriend hated me. Here's how I lost everything. At 50, I find myself reflecting on an unexpected turn of events that has significantly altered the fabric of my family dynamics. It all started innocently enough when I introduced my son, Ethan, to a young woman named Mia during what he described as a situationship. This term, new to me at the time, hinted at a relationship that existed somewhere between friendship and romance without the formal labels. For a year, they had been entangled in this undefined connection, where Ethan, a bright 25-year-old, showered Mia with lavish gifts and affection, all while she kept him at arm's length. Mia was an attractive online influencer, a fact that seemed to add to the allure, but also the complexity of their relationship. At first, I didn't think much of it, just a young man exploring his options in love. However, when I noticed Maya's cool demeanor towards me, I began to feel the rift between us growing. She often visited our home, but never engaged much beyond polite nods and distant smiles. It left me feeling uneasy and concerned for my son, who was evidently smitten with her. About 7 months into their situationship, I met a lively young woman named Sarah at my boutique, a quaint little shop filled with colorful fabrics and eclectic decor reflecting my personal taste. Sarah, who had recently joined my team, had a bright spirit that lit up the store. One day, while we were rearranging stock, she noticed a picture of Ethan on my desk. With sparkling eyes, she expressed her admiration for him, mentioning how talented and driven he seemed based on the stories I had shared. It dawned on me that perhaps I could help my son explore new possibilities in love, given the uncertainty of his connection with Maya. I casually suggested that Sarah reach out to Ethan. After all, Maya was still weighing her options, and Ethan had been clear that he wasn't in a committed relationship. When I brought up my suggestion with Ethan, his reaction was lukewarm at best, an indifferent shrug and a vague, "Okay, Mom." It was evident that my attempt to introduce him to someone new wasn't as thrilling to him as I had hoped. Eventually, Ethan and Mia decided to formalize their relationship. To my surprise, their social media began to light up with couple photos and sweet captions that illustrated a shift from their once casual connection to a more serious commitment. I had assumed my introduction of Sarah hadn't altered anything, but the change in Ethan's attitude toward Maya was undeniable. As time passed, I found myself wanting to clear the air with Maya. I approached her one afternoon, hoping to mend any misunderstanding that might exist between us. Our conversation was charged with tension. I attempted to apologize if my actions had intruded upon her personal space, but her response was icy. Mia told me I should have stayed out of Ethan's affairs, making it clear that the boundaries of their relationship were defined by them alone. It was a revelation for me, but it also felt like a sharp rebuke. I sensed that my efforts to bridge the gap only created more distance. My daughter, Lily, noticing the tension, jokingly suggested I seek advice on Reddit, her way of expressing her frustration with the situation. As we sat in our cozy living room, a space that usually felt warm and inviting, the atmosphere felt charged and uncomfortable. I had hoped for understanding, but instead, I was met with polite detachment. Mia excused herself, claiming work awaited her, and as she left, I felt a sinking sensation of dread. Ethan, deeply in love, often spoke of their future, making her coldness towards me all the more troubling. It became apparent that this rift would require more than one awkward conversation to repair. Complicating matters, my limited interactions with Maya had already been strained by an earlier disagreement. When she announced her decision to drop out of college to pursue her career as an online influencer, I expressed my concerns, which I now realize may have been too forceful. I worried that she was abandoning a valuable opportunity, yet I had no financial stake in her education, making my input feel unwarranted in retrospect. In the days that followed, our family's tension continued to grow. My husband, Michael, typically a steady presence in our lives, returned home unexpectedly one day to find the house heavy with unresolved issues. In a moment of frustration, he made the shocking decision to ask Ethan to leave our home. The sight of Ethan's empty room brought a wave of sorrow and helplessness, realizing that our family was fracturing before my eyes. As I sat alone in the house, my phone buzzed incessantly with Ethan's messages, filled with hurt and disbelief. He described our actions as heartless, which stung more than I wanted to admit. With Michael leaving again the next day for a business trip, the weight of managing the fallout fell squarely on my shoulders. I felt an urgent need to reconcile for the sake of family harmony. My daughter, staunchly supporting her father's decision, showed little sympathy for Ethan, further complicating our dynamics. When Ethan attempted to return home to discuss things, Their interactions quickly escalated into shouting matches. Our living room, once a place of comfort and love, had become a battlefield of accusations and pain. My daughter, firmly siding with her father, accused Ethan of being irresponsible, while he pleaded for understanding. As their voices rose, I stood helplessly in the middle, feeling the fabric of our family stretching dangerously thin. Each clash seemed to push us further apart. On one occasion, when Ethan knocked softly at the door, I could see hope in his eyes. However, it dimmed instantly when he saw Lily standing beside me, her rigid posture and stony expression making the atmosphere thick with tension. Before a word could be spoken, their exchanges turned harsh, filled with accusations that didn't address the heart of the matter, our need for support and understanding as a family. The conflict lingered in the air, heavy and oppressive. I knew that finding a way back to each other would require more than just time. It would need a collective willingness to listen, understand, and forgive. The family I had cherished seemed to be unraveling at the seams. I had never imagined a scenario where my children would be at such odds with each other. As a mother, I longed to mend what was broken, to restore the warmth that had once filled our home. In the midst of my worries, I set aside a small amount of money for Ethan, a practical measure to help him get by until we could find a better solution. It felt more like a band-aid over a gaping wound, but I hoped it would show him that I still cared. Many supportive comments from friends and family offered comfort, reminding me that resolution might be a long journey filled with emotional nuances. As weeks turned into months, signs of healing began to emerge. Ethan continued his relationship with Maya, determined to make things work despite the ongoing family discord. Eventually, he proposed to her, and her joyous acceptance brought a glimmer of hope into our family. The photographs Ethan sent, filled with smiles and excitement, sparked a change in my heart. I realized that my role as a mother was to support my son's happiness, regardless of past misunderstandings. I took a brave step and invited Ethan and Mia over for a family dinner, a gesture towards reconciliation. To my relief, Michael softened his stance upon seeing Ethan's commitment. When they walked through our door, the atmosphere was still tense, but it wasn't long before laughter began to replace the silence. My husband and I showed genuine interest in their plans, which included launching a business together, leveraging Maya's online presence. Their enthusiasm was infectious, and for the first time in what felt like ages, I sensed a glimmer of the family unity we had lost. Yet, Lily remained skeptical. She was the last holdout, her feelings still mixed and her resistance apparent. Recognizing her discomfort, Ethan and Maya approached her with kindness and understanding rather than resentment. They expressed their hopes for family unity and invited her to be part of their lives. Slowly, Lily began to thaw, responding to their efforts. The breakthrough came during a casual backyard barbecue. As Maya and Lily teamed up for a game of charades, laughter filled the air, washing away the last of Lily's reservations. It was a pivotal moment that began to mend the fractures in our family. Months later, at Ethan and Maya's wedding, I felt an overwhelming sense of joy. Lily stood as the maid of honor, her speech heartfelt, acknowledging her initial misgivings, but also her happiness at seeing her brother so well matched. The wedding, set in a beautiful outdoor venue, was a celebration of love and healing. Watching them exchange vows, surrounded by friends and family who had witnessed our struggles, filled me with a profound sense of peace. The journey had been anything but easy, teaching us all valuable lessons about love, forgiveness, and the enduring strength of family ties. Ethan and Maya's return to our family fold wasn't just a reunion. It marked a new beginning, full of hope and happiness for the future. I felt grateful for the path we had navigated together, leading us back to one another and reminding me of the bonds that ultimately define us.